Hello everyone, we are back with our AQA GCSE Biology Paper 2 2025 prediction papers. Last year we came close to predicting nearly every single topic, and this year we've carefully analysed trends to provide even more accurate predictions. Our resources include exam style questions designed to reflect the real exam experience, detailed mark schemes to help you understand how to achieve top marks, and a brand new edition for 2025. Video walkthroughs included, demonstrating how to structure your answers the way the examiners like. For additional support, our masterclasses offer loads of help, including access to the Revision Accelerator course over the school holidays for Easter, and live exam prep sessions the night before the exam to give you that final confidence boost. Now, most importantly, before we get started, while we have done the hard work in predicting key topics, it's essential to revise everything to ensure you are fully prepared, as these are just predictions. Okay, so in this video, we're going to start with separate higher, then combined higher, separate foundation, and then combined foundation. Do be sure to skip to the bit that's relevant to you. You're not going to need all of these, obviously. So let's start with separate higher. First and foremost, we think that you should brush up on the structure and function of the nervous system. The central nervous system, CNS, plays a crucial role in processing information, consisting of the brain and spinal cord. Reflex arcs enable automatic responses to stimuli, helping protect the body from harm. Understanding the structure of neurons and the role of synapses, including how neurotransmitters allow signals to pass between nerve cells, is key to this topic. Next up, we've got the brain. The brain has several key structures, including the cerebrum, responsible for thinking and memory, the cerebellum, which controls balance and coordination, and the medulla, which regulates essential functions such as heartbeat and breathing. Scientists study the brain using techniques such as examining brain damage, electrical stimulation, and MRI scans. Treating brain injuries, though, and disorders remains challenging due to the brain's complexity and delicate nature. The next topic we suggest you brush up on is blood glucose control and diabetes. The body regulates blood sugar levels using insulin and glucagon. Understanding the differences between type 1 and type 2 diabetes, their causes, symptoms, and treatments is important, along with the role of negative feedback in maintaining balance. Next, we have genetic inheritance. Key genetic concepts include alleles, dominant and recessive traits, genotypes, and phenotypes. Punnett squares are useful for predicting inheritance probabilities, particularly for genetic disorders such as cystic fibrosis, which is caused by a recessive allele, and polydactyly, which is caused by a dominant allele. Another predicted topic is sampling techniques. That's quadrats and transects. Ecologists use quadrats and transects to study organisms in different habitats. Quadrats help estimate population size, while transects show changes across an area. Random sampling helps avoid bias, and both abiotic, non-living, and biotic living factors influence population sizes. You've also got the decay practical. Decay is influenced by factors such as temperature, oxygen, water availability, and microbial activity. A common experiment to investigate decay involves using milk, lipase, and a pH indicator to measure changes over time. Understanding decay is useful for applications like composting and sewage treatment. Then we have selective breeding. Selective breeding involves choosing parent organisms with desirable traits to produce offspring with those characteristics. It is used in agriculture to improve crop yields and disease resistance in livestock for better meat and milk production, and in pets as well to enhance appearance and temperament. However, it carries risks such as inbreeding, which can lead to health problems and reduced genetic diversity. Our next predicted topic is variation adaptation. Variation can be genetic, inherited, or environmental, caused by surroundings. Adaptations can be structural, so physical traits, behavioural, so actions, or physiological, internal processes. These adaptations help organisms survive in their environments and link to natural selection, where individuals with beneficial traits are more likely to survive and reproduce. Next, you'll want to brush up on cloning. There are several types of cloning, including tissue culture, cuttings, embryo transplants, and adult cell cloning. Cloning has applications in agriculture, conservation, and medicine, but it also raises ethical concerns and may reduce biodiversity. Then look at classification. The Linnaean classification system organises organisms into hierarchical groups such as kingdom, phylum, class, and order. The binomial naming system, which consists of a genus and species name, is used globally to identify organisms. Additionally, modern classification recognises three domains: bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. You should also revise fossils and theory of evolution. You need to know what fossils are and how they form. Fossils provide evidence for evolution by showing how organisms have changed over time. However, some fossils are missing due to natural decay or destruction over time. Also, look into advantages and disadvantages of sexual and asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction creates genetic variation, making species more adaptable to changing environments, but requiring more time and energy. Asexual reproduction produces identical offspring quickly, making it useful in stable environments. Examples include bacteria reproducing by binary fission, plants using runners or bulbs, and fungi spreading via spores. Next, brush up on global warming. Global warming is caused by increased carbon dioxide and methane levels due to human activities. It leads to rising sea levels, habitat loss, and extreme weather patterns. Solutions include using renewable energy, reducing carbon footprints, and promoting conservation efforts. Next, and we're nearly there, revise food security. Food security is affected by population growth, climate change, and farming practices. Sustainable solutions include reducing food waste, improving farming techniques, and using genetically modified or GM crops to increase yield and resistance to pests. Finally, we then have uses of biotechnology, so novel food production. This is not GM, by the way. Biotechnology is used to produce alternative food sources. Mycoprotein, such as corn, is made using fungi grown in fermenters. Single cell protein, or SCP, is derived from bacteria and algae to provide protein rich food. And then enzymes such as lactase are also used to produce lactose free milk. Okay, those are our predicted topics for separate hire for biology paper 2. Our final advice is this. While these topics are predicted, the exam could include anything from the syllabus, so it's essential to revise everything. Practicing using our predicted papers or even past papers and reviewing mark schemes will help you become familiar with the question styles and expectations. And of course, for extra support, consider joining our masterclasses. We offer revision boosters and live exam prep sessions the night before your exam to help you feel confident and ready, and loads more stuff too. Most importantly, take care of your well-being. Exams are important, but your mental health matters more. Take breaks, eat well, and believe in yourself. We're now going to move on to combined hire for paper 2. And we've carefully analysed trends to provide predictions for AQA GCSE combined science biology hire paper 2. However, as we always say, it's essential to revise all topics to ensure you are fully prepared. So let's start with our first topic, the reflex arc. Reflex actions are automatic responses that do not involve the brain, allowing reactions to occur quickly for protection. The pathway of a reflex arc follows this sequence: stimulus, receptor, sensory neuron, relay neuron, motor neuron, effector, and then response. Do always be aware that synapses play a crucial role in passing signals between neurons, where neurotransmitters are released to bridge the gaps between nerve cells, ensuring smooth and rapid communication. Okay, next brush up on inheritance, specifically family trees and Punnett squares. Genetic inheritance involves dominant and recessive alleles, where a dominant allele only needs one copy to be expressed, while a recessive allele requires two copies. Also be aware of Punnett squares, which are used to predict genetic outcomes and probability distributions of traits. Family trees help identify inherited conditions such as polydactyly and cystic fibrosis by tracking how traits are passed through generations. Next up, you'll want to be aware of this required practical: transect sampling. Transect sampling is used to measure how species are distributed in an area. Quadrats help estimate population sizes, while abiotic factors such as light, temperature, and water availability influence species distribution. To ensure reliable results, repeated sampling, randomization, and controlling variables are essential. Next up, revise biotic and abiotic factors. Biotic factors refer to living things that affect an ecosystem, such as predators, disease, and food availability. Abiotic factors, on the other hand, are non-living environmental components, including temperature, pH levels, and water supply. Changes in these factors can significantly impact population sizes and biodiversity. Your next topic to revise is global warming. Global warming occurs due to greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and methane trapping heat in the Earth's atmosphere. This results in rising sea levels, extreme weather conditions, and habitat destruction. Solutions to mitigate global warming include using renewable energy, reducing carbon footprints, and increasing afforestation efforts. You'll then want to revise waste management. Human activities contribute to pollution in various ways, including land pollution from landfills, water pollution from plastic waste, and air pollution from industrial emissions and acid rain. These activities reduce biodiversity through habitat destruction and climate changes. Strategies for reducing waste include recycling, conservation efforts, and sustainable farming practices. Okay, next we have the idea of maintaining biodiversity. Biodiversity is essential for stable ecosystems, medicine, and food chains. Conservation efforts help protect species through breeding programs, habitat preservation, and reducing deforestation. Governments and charities play a key role in these efforts, implementing policies and raising awareness to support environmental conservation. Now, our next predicted topic is selective breeding. Selective breeding is used to enhance desirable traits, such as improving crop yield or breeding disease resistant animals. However, it carries risks, including inbreeding, reduced genetic variation, and increased susceptibility to disease. Ethical concerns surrounding selective breeding also include animal welfare and the limitations imposed by a reduced gene pool. Now we're nearly there. We also suggest revising classification, fossils, and evolution. The classification of organisms follows Linnaeus' system, which categorises them into kingdom, phylum, class order, family genus, and species. The three-domain system, bacteria, archaea, and eukarya, provides a modern classification approach. Fossils provide evidence of evolution, showing how species have changed over time. However, some fossil records are incomplete due to decay or destruction. And then here, natural selection explains how species evolve through survival of the fittest, where advantageous traits are passed on to future generations. Okay, next and finally, we have contraception and menstrual cycle hormones. Several hormones regulate the menstrual cycle. That's FSH, which stimulates egg maturation. We have LH, which triggers ovulation. And then we have estrogen and progesterone, which control the cycle and maintain the uterus lining. There are also different types of contraception methods. We have hormonal methods, for example, the pill, implant injection, which prevent ovulation. We have barrier methods, so condoms or diaphragms to stop sperm from reaching the egg. And then we have surgical methods, so for example, sterilization to provide permanent prevention of pregnancy. Okay, those are our combined higher topic predictions for paper 2. Next up, we're going to move on to separate foundation. We've carefully selected key topics for separate foundation, paper 2. However, it is important to revise all topics to ensure you are fully prepared again. So firstly, we suggest you revise the reflex arc. Reflex actions are fast, automatic responses designed to protect the body from harm. The pathway of a reflex arc follows this sequence: stimulus, receptor, sensory neuron, relay neuron, motor neuron, effector, response. Reflexes help to avoid injuries such as pulling your hand away from something hot. Next, brush up on the brain. The brain controls movement, memory, emotions, and bodily functions. Key parts to know include the cerebrum, responsible for thinking, memory, and speech, the cerebellum, which manages balance and coordination, and the medulla, which controls essential functions like heartbeat and breathing. Also know that brain damage is difficult to treat due to the brain's delicate and complex structure. Our next predicted topic is blood glucose control and diabetes. The pancreas regulates blood sugar levels using two hormones: insulin, which lowers blood sugar when levels are too high, and glucagon, which raises blood sugar when levels are too low. Now, here, also know that diabetes is a condition where blood sugar control does not function properly. Specifically, we've got type 1 diabetes, where the body does not produce insulin and requires insulin injections, and then type 2 diabetes, which is more linked to diet and lifestyle and can often be managed through healthy eating and exercise. Next, we have excretion. Excretion is the removal of waste products from the body. The kidneys filter blood to remove urea, water, and salts forming urine. And then the lungs excrete carbon dioxide while the skin removes excess salt through sweat. Next, we suggest you brush up on inheritance, looking at family trees and Punnett squares. Genetic inheritance involves dominant and recessive genes. A dominant gene only requires one copy to be expressed, while a recessive gene needs two. And then Punnett squares help predict genetic traits, and family trees show how characteristics are passed through generations. Okay, next for your required practical revise transect sampling. Transect sampling is used to measure how species are distributed in an area. Quadrats help estimate population sizes, while abiotic factors such as light and temperature influence where organisms live. To ensure reliable results, scientists repeat tests and take averages. Then revise biotic and abiotic factors too. Biotic factors refer to living elements in an ecosystem, such as predators, food availability, and disease. Abiotic factors are non-living, such as temperature, water availability, and soil type. Changes in these factors can increase or decrease population sizes and biodiversity. Nearly there, guys, but next revise global warming. Global warming is caused by an excess of greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide and methane, trapping heat in the Earth's atmosphere. This leads to rising temperatures, melting ice caps, and extreme weather events. Ways to reduce global warming include reducing fossil fuel use and increasing afforestation efforts. We then have food security. Food security is threatened by factors such as population growth, climate change, and overfishing. Solutions to improve security include sustainable farming methods, reducing food waste, and improving food transport and storage. Your next area of focus might be biotechnology. Biotechnology involves using microorganisms in food and medicine production. Examples include microproteins, so for example, corn made using fungi and then bacteria used to produce insulin, essential for diabetes treatment. Also, brush up on selective breeding. Selective breeding involves choosing parents with desired traits to produce offspring with those traits. It's commonly used in farming, for example, cows that produce more milk, pets, for example, dogs with good temperaments, and crops to make disease resistant plants. However, just be aware that inbreeding can lead to genetic health problems. You then need to look at classification, fossils, and evolution. Classification groups organisms based on similarities. Fossils provide evidence of evolution by showing how species have changed over time, and then evolution occurs as species gradually adapt to their environment through natural selection. Next, revise the theory of evolution. Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection states that organisms with beneficial traits are more likely to survive and then reproduce. Mutations cause variation, and beneficial traits become more common over generations, leading to the formation of new species. Your next predicted topic is cloning. Know that there are different types of cloning: cuttings and tissue culture used for plant cloning, embryo transplants used for cloning animals, and adult cell cloning seen in cases like Dolly the sheep. Cloning has benefits for conservation and farming, but raises ethical concerns and may lead to reduced genetic variation. Okay, this is your last topic. Brush up on sexual and asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves two parents and produces genetic variation, which is important for evolution. Asexual reproduction requires only one parent and produces identical offspring, making it useful for quick reproduction. Examples include bacteria and fungi reproducing asexually, or some plants, such as strawberries, can reproduce through both methods. Okay, then, those are your topics. Now, while these topics are predicted, it is essential to revise all content to ensure full preparation. Practicing using our predicted papers and reviewing mark schemes will help you become familiar with question styles and improve exam technique. For additional support, consider joining our masterclasses. We offer revision boosters and live exam preparation sessions the night before your exam to help build confidence, along with the papers and walkthroughs and our weekly live tutoring included in the price too, which can be monthly if you just need our help to get you over the line. Most importantly, take care of yourself. Exam stress is real, so take breaks, eat well, and believe in yourself. Good luck. Now, finally, we have our combined foundation predictions for 2025 as well. As with all our predictions, we have carefully selected those key topics for AQA GCSE Combined Science Biology Foundation Paper 2. However, it is important to revise all topics to ensure you are fully prepared. Now, let's start with our first topic, reflex arc. A reflex arc is a fast automatic response that protects the body from harm. The pathway of a reflex arc follows this sequence: stimulus, receptor, sensory neuron, relay neuron, motor neuron, effector, and then response. For example, when touching something hot, the body reacts instantly by pulling the hand away without conscious thought. Next up, we suggest revising inheritance, specifically family trees and Punnett squares. Genes are passed from parents to offspring and determine inherited characteristics. Dominant traits only require one copy of the gene to be expressed, while recessive traits require two copies. Punnett squares help predict genetic outcomes, and family trees illustrate how genetic conditions such as polydactyly or cystic fibrosis are inherited across generations. Next, for your required practical, transect sampling. Transect sampling is used to measure how plants and animals are distributed across an area. Quadrats are placed at intervals along a transect line to collect data. Abiotic factors such as temperature and light affect where organisms live. To improve accuracy, experiments should be repeated and averages should be calculated. We then suggest revising biotic and abiotic factors too. Biotic factors refer to living things in an ecosystem, such as predators, food supply, and disease. Abiotic factors include non-living environmental components like temperature, water availability, soil pH, and light. Changes in these factors can influence population sizes and biodiversity. Okay, next we then have global warming. Global warming is caused by an excess of carbon dioxide and methane released from human activities such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and farming. This leads to rising sea levels, extreme weather conditions, and habitat destruction. Solutions to mitigate global warming include using renewable energy sources, recycling, and planting more trees. Our next topic is waste management. Human activities contribute to pollution in various ways. Land pollution caused by litter and landfill waste, water pollution due to plastic waste and chemicals entering oceans and rivers, and air pollution caused by fumes, smoke, and acid rain. Ways to reduce waste include increasing recycling efforts, reducing plastic use, and improving waste disposal methods. Next, revise maintaining biodiversity. Biodiversity is crucial for maintaining stable ecosystems and providing resources such as food and medicine. Threats to biodiversity include deforestation, climate change, and pollution. Conservation efforts such as establishing nature reserves, reforestation, and reducing waste help protect species and ecosystems. Okay, we also suggest you revise selective breeding. Selective breeding involves choosing parents with desirable traits to produce offspring with those traits. This method is commonly used in farming, breeding pets, and growing disease-resistant plants. However, do also note that inbreeding can lead to genetic health problems and reduce genetic variation. Right, nearly there, guys. Revise classification, fossils, and evolution. Know that organisms are classified based on similarities, grouping them into categories such as mammals and reptiles. Fossils provide evidence of evolution, showing how species have changed over time. And then, in terms of evolution, know that natural selection explains how species evolve as individuals with beneficial traits are more likely to survive and reproduce. Now, finally, we have contraception and menstrual cycle hormones. Several hormones regulate the menstrual cycle. We've got FSH, which matures the egg, LH, which triggers ovulation, and then estrogen and progesterone, which control the cycle and maintain the uterus lining. There are also different methods of contraception to prevent pregnancy. This includes hormonal methods, so for example, the pill, implant, injection to prevent ovulation. We've got barrier methods, so for example, condoms, diaphragms, to prevent sperm from reaching the egg, and then surgical methods, so for example, sterilisation to provide permanent prevention of pregnancy. Right then, those are all of our AQA Biology Paper 2 predictions for 2025. While these topics are predicted to appear in the exam, it is of course essential to revise all content to ensure full preparation. Practicing using our predicted papers and reviewing mark schemes will help you become familiar with question styles and improve exam technique. We've got our masterclasses to really solidify your revision with a weekly live tutoring, access to past sessions, our Easter revision, night before sessions, predicted papers, and walkthroughs all included in the price. For now though, good luck, and we really hope these act as a useful starting point to your revision. Good luck.